we are ready with d4gr0n and Mickey Mania, the timeless adventures.
The timeless adventures of Mickey Mouse. How's everyone doing? This game actually had a fair amount of work put into it a few months back, and we've managed to push it down to below 19 minutes. And if you aren't familiar with this game, you might remember d4gr0n's run way back from 2015, where the runner Yellow Killer Bee did the Super Nintendo version, and it's a much more broken version. And there's a little less content to chew through compared to this version, only by just a tiny little bit. And they change a number of things too. But otherwise, the game mostly feels the same. It's just pretty much a much less broken game. In fact, it's not really a broken game at all. It's pretty much what you're going to expect out of this run is tight platforming and good execution through the entirety of the game. And that's kind of a large sticking point. So, yeah, I am pretty much ready to go. I'm assuming everyone is good to go. I'm ready to start.
Yeah, we're ready.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, no, we're all good. It's all on you.
Okay, then. So, we'll get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So, Mickey Mania, the entire basis of Mickey Mania is that you play as Mickey Mouse here and going through a bunch of levels that are kind of inspired around particular animated shorts, as well as some longer animated stuff. And it progressively goes on through the years. We start with Steamboat Willie here. It's a very, very simple and short level. But not to be outdone, we got our first little trick here. We're gonna try to bounce on this bird here 3 times to get up there. Of course, I totally did a short hop and messed it all up, so I gotta go up here and kill this bird here. Because we need to actually hit these 4 bells here. And it's very important I do that. I don't even know what hit me there. But in order to draw down that bridge there that I actually just crossed over, you actually have to hit all 4 of those bells. And then you gotta wait for that guy to show up, and then you have to bounce on him 4 times to knock him down and do a nice little power bounce to get up there. And that's pretty much the entirety of the level. Here's the first boss. Nice little quick kill here. Oh, okay, well, I missed it. Alright, so I gotta wait for another spring. So this was kind of a not so very good fight, but we'll take it. And now we move on to Mad Doctor. Now, Mad Doctor is, for people that have played this game casually, this is the level that really, really does a number to a lot of people's casual playthroughs. Okay, wow. Failed to even bounce on that guy's head. That room is incredibly terrible. Like, just unforgivably terrible. Like, enemies just placed everywhere. Just everywhere. And it's almost impossible to get through that particular screen without taking at least 2 or 3 hits, without losing incredible amounts of time. And because I've already lost, like, an insane amount of life, and already lost, 1 life already, I'm gonna take that extra life there during that auto-scroller. It's kind of a risk to actually go for it, because it's a really, really tight jump. If you don't land on those carts in that auto-scroller, you'll just go veering right off the stage, and you will die for that. No questions asked. So this part here is actually unique to the Genesis version, and, later versions of the game. For whatever reason, it's not in the Super Nintendo version. Okay. Not sure why I couldn't hit that bat for... But it's okay. We still got like a point of health we can work with here. And we're done with the pretty tight stretch there. Kind of have a bit of time to relax now because the rest of this particular level, it's pretty much scripted as long as I make sure I land that throw there. And we're going to be going through a nice little elevator here. And this is kind of the calm before the storm for the run. I know that there's been some important tricks I've already had to land, but for the most part, they're not too big of a deal. We're coming up to the point where the speedrun truly, truly begins, and that's with the boss fight at the very end here, which is the Mad Doctor himself. I'm going to be doing some counting strats with this particular fight, and it's very important I do it this way so that I can make sure to bounce on him on the 8th hit, because the 9th hit will make me defeat the Mad Doctor. And this is especially important because on the 9th hit, you begin to start walking to the right, and that's where you're going to find Pluto. And this entire level, we're trying to rescue Pluto. Like, if you haven't seen the animation for the Mad Doctor, he kidnaps Pluto, and he plans to use him as some sort of an experiment of some sort. So Mickey actually tries to go and save him. And I won't kind of spoil what happens in that particular short, but in this particular game, we're going to defeat him. So here's the fight. I'm going to be quiet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's the 9th hit. And you can see the further we are to the right of the screen there is, the further we are to the right of the screen there, the better, because that allows us to get through this level and get through that cutscene as soon as possible. Now, why I say the Mad Doctor is a very important fight is because the thing with this game is that health does not transfer, or it transfers over your health value between levels, and that is very, very bad. Why is that bad? Because, well, as you saw, I didn't really have much health to end off that previous level. And so I have to go through the start of this awful screen here with basically no life. I thought I was going to make that. But that's not a big deal. The thing with death in this game is you don't really lose much time. I think each death only costs about 4 seconds per. Obviously, ideally, you want to not take deaths like that. But it is a pretty minor time loss. The only real concern, though, with losing lives is that if you run out of lives and you have to use a continue, you have to start the level from the very beginning of it. And, I mean, in this level, that's not too bad. Like, you would only lose probably, like, a minute or so. But in the last level in particular, you can lose upwards of, like, 4 minutes if you do end up game overing. It's not good. Might be even more than that. Might be even 6 minutes. So yes, we're running away from a moose here, and shoutouts to the developers of this game actually being able to pull off the effects that they do in this particular chasing sequence here. But you have to collect these apples in order to maintain your speed. That's the entire reason for the apples. Because if you don't keep eating apples, you'll eventually just completely grind to a halt and the moose will catch up to you, and it's a one-hit kill if that happens. Alright, good. I made that jump. That's a very tight jump, and we want to make sure to land it so that on top of the boat being closer to the right of the screen there, we get 3 points of health if we get there. Now, here is probably the most technical screen as far as your jumps are concerned. And we want to make sure we end this screen at full life. Very, very important we do that. Okay, so I'm going to kind of wait here. And like I said, it's very important that I hold on to at least 3 points or 4 points of life getting to this point here. And the reason why we want to have full life going into the next section is because the next screen is really, really awful. And I'll explain why it's really, really awful in a moment. But first, gotta just slow down just a tad right there, and you'll be able to make that cycle as long as you do that part optimally. Now, this section is the reason we want full life. The problem with these barrels that I'm walking on here, past a certain point, they start to sink into the water, and they no longer become serviceable in being able to progress through the level. So we're kind of forced to take automatic hits to these ghosts, at least 3 of them. Thankfully, though, we do have a checkpoint there, and I made that cycle. That's good. The other reason why the screen is terrible is that this is the only screen we can do, or this is the only screen where we're kind of forced to take an intentional death, and that's because in order to avoid damage in this level, we have to kind of jump on this table and then jump over ghosts like we're about to do here. This one we don't have to worry about having to jump over because we will never make the cycle previous to that swinging rope that I just grabbed there. You can't actually grab it at an earlier point than that. So it actually benefits to avoid the damage and by jumping over the ghost, but you don't want to do that any more than one single time. And that's Lonesome Ghost. Now, Beanstalk. Beanstalk is actually a really fun stage. I love this stage a lot. But it's also a very, very difficult screen. And these butterflies in particular do not have generous hitboxes. Like, they kind of fly up and down, and they become a very hard target to actually hit because of that. All right, can we make this jump? Yes, perfect. Really, really good set of bounces. And we end that screen at full life, which is very, very important because this screen here, we're going to try to actually jump through a number of these falling bugs, I guess. And if we didn't have the health, we wouldn't have been able to damage boost through those particular ones. It's very hard to get through them. But because we did have the health, we were able to just straight up take every hit we could afford. Because we do get health back at the later port. There's our first one there. And test bug? Yeah! So by doing just some light tapping, you can kind of ride along him and try to grab whatever you can there. So that was good. Now this screen's pretty important to land perfectly. That was very nice. And this part used to really cause me a lot of trouble, but thanks to d4gr0n having a really good setup, we actually have found a way to get into the top of that rope nice and clean like you just saw there. And that is all thanks to my good friend d4gr0n. If you are watching this, I hope he is watching this, but it probably is very late for him. He's not really a night owl like I am, but he is my competitive rival. We have helped each other kind of push the time down, which is now down to a sub-19. And that is also thanks to this next upcoming screen here, the first screen of The Prince and the Pauper. This is the hardest screen of the entire game. You see these candles, these chandeliers above me? You can get to each one in just 3 swings, but it's very, very tight. We're going to try it a couple of times. Oh, so close. So close. We're not going to try it again. We almost had it, but you kind of can see how picky the jumps can actually be. Or you can just do it 5 swings and get it first try every time. Sometimes it's better safe than sorry than going for the really, really optimal parts. And then, of course, to add to the swinging chandeliers there's this section, which is really, really tight. The thing with this particular game is your hitbox, your lingering hurt box, like how you end up taking hits from enemies can change based on your actions. Like, I think when Mickey actually throws something, his hitbox actually extends further forward. And when that happens, you can take damage just from throwing stuff at enemies. It's not fun when it happens. But that was a fairly clean room. I'm actually glad that at the very least I didn't end up with a death there. I unfortunately did take a hit there, which is not good. Because now we're coming up to another fairly scary part, which is the dungeon here. Got almost no life to work with. Alright, nice. That jump's pretty tight. It's important that I throw these pellets or rocks at certain enemies. And the reason why this is a pretty scary level is because, as you saw there, I have to take some intentional hits. Just to be able to save time on some cycles on those platforms. And then, of course, there's this section here, which also very ungenerous. A bit of luck involved, like you just saw there. I'm in a bit of trouble. Okay, wow. All right, we're past it now. But we got, like, no life. I can't actually afford to take any hits here. Although I did get the checkpoint. If you do want to know, the checkpoint is the rockets. And once you grab the rocket, it will take whatever point you die at and then just send you, or it will respawn you right where you died. It's actually very handy like that. And we made it through the dungeon. Now, we don't have any life, so this next part here is actually really, really scary to do. So I'm probably going to have to take a bit of safety here, just so I don't die. This section's quite a bit different compared to the Super Nintendo version. The jumps can be quite a bit tighter. Alright, not bad. So we at least made it to this point here. Now, we're not in safety yet because, as you can see, we're still a hit from death here. But there is health waiting for us at the top. So if we can get there, we got 3 extra points of health to work with. Alright, good, we made it. Now, this next section here is fairly simple. It does not look that simple, but it's not as scary. Unfortunately, I took a hit there, which was not intended. But yeah, there's a lot of craziness that goes on during this whole entire stretch here. But as long as I don't deviate from the intended planned route here, I should make it. Okay, that's totally fine. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Prince and the Pauper stage. We are on the last boss of the game. So, the thing with this fight is it's actually really, really simple. All we really are doing here is we're trying to utilize the tools at our disposal to use against him. As you can see, we can't really do anything with the rocks. you know, Pete's wearing armor. Can't really do anything about that. So we're just gonna, you know, take advantage of his kind of his poor bow strategy here of trying to slam his butt on the ground on us and throw his sword at us, which you're not seeing on the screen, but I assure you that's what he's doing. We want to intentionally wait on this last one because, as you can see here, the wrecking ball, it only spawns on the left side there. And it won't spawn on the right side. It doesn't spawn based on what side you're on. Only on the side, on the left side there. So we have to intentionally wait until we get Pete looking in that particular direction. Alright, so I'm going to have to... I'm kind of low on health here. Let's see if I can do this. Alright, perfect. I actually dodged the hit. So we're down to 2 more hits. The time is going to be when the wrecking ball actually knocks... Or when the last hit connects with Pete and he's knocked off the screen, which is going to be this one right here. And time. 1946. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. A fair number of mistakes. But you know what? That was still a good run.
It was. It was a good done. Nicely done, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that is Mickey Mania. Very, very solid game. I highly recommend it. Of course, it does take a bit of getting used to the hitboxes of enemies and of Mickey himself. It's not an easy game. It's not quite like the Illusion series. It takes a fair bit of getting used to. But once you got it, you'll get it. You'll just get it. I'm glad I got to show this game off. I intend to submit this for next GDQ.
I wish good luck with that one. I hope it gets in. It'll be a good run.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And once again, I want to give a shout out to the runners of Mickey Mania, both old and new. I know the game's kind of been, you know, hasn't been the most active game in recent times, but it did see a spark of life, at least for this version, for a little while. So I want to give a shout out to those runners. And yeah, there's really nothing more I have to say. Thanks for watching, and what's the next run?
It is Faust running Shinobi 3.
All right. I've also dabbled in Shinobi 3, and Faust is a very experienced runner. You probably have seen him from his GDQ run. Back again to deliver Kunai-less expert mode, which we all should be looking forward to. I know I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too. It's going to be good stuff.
Speaking of Faust, thanks for the raid of 11.
Just joined us with the raid. Faust raid. Woo!
All right. That's going to be it for me, though. So I'll sign off with that, and good luck to Faust.
Thank you for the run. Again, everybody, if you haven't already, do follow d4gr0n there. His link is in the chat. And we'll just get ready for the next run.